Good afternoon, all. I'd like to welcome everyone to this meeting of the Boston Art Commission. My name is Alexandra Polzotov, and I'm the Public Art Registrar in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. In this capacity, I'm also the Administrator of the Boston Art Commission. Let's all take a moment to update our names and our pronouns, as well as to make sure that we're muted. In accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, we are conducting this meeting virtually. As a reminder, this has been extended until 2026. To ensure public access to the deliberations of the Art Commission, the public can join through telephone and video conferencing. For those of you with us today, this meeting is being recorded and closed captioning is available. You can access this at the bottom of the screen. If you're having trouble locating the button, please chat us for assistance.
Thank you, Paul, and thanks everyone for being here. The Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture and Boston Art Commission believe that public art is any artwork installed in publicly accessible spaces where they can be experienced by everyone for free. For transparency and community input, proposed artworks are reviewed and discussed at public meetings of the Boston Art Commission, the BAC, which has exclusive authority to approve and commission artworks intended to be added to the city's collection or placed on city property. Working together with the public art team in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, the Boston Art Commission is an independent board composed of 2 ex officio and 7 volunteer community members appointed by the mayor. The public art team in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture facilitates the Boston Art Commission public meetings on a regular, usually monthly basis, manages all phases, daily operations, and duties related to public art projects cited on or proposed for City of Boston property in collaboration with the BAC, community members, and colleagues at the City of Boston. Helping to facilitate this meeting are Amber Torres, Public Art Project Manager, Birgit Worster, Senior Public Art Project Manager, and Alexandra Polzotov, Public Art Registrar. Please reach out to us with any questions or comments at bac@boston.gov, which you'll see in the chat. We are also joined by consultants today: Liza Quinones, Mural Consultant; Josh Crane, Conservation Consultant; and Erin Genia, Indigenous Public Art and Cultural Spaces Consultant. And I will pass to Chair Andres for the roll call.
Thanks, Karen. I think we're still waiting on, oh no, James just arrived. So I'll go slowly. Welcome, everyone. I call this public hearing to order at 4:36 p.m. Today, the Commission is holding its monthly public meeting, which are generally held on the second Tuesday of every month, and I hope you'll continue to join us. Here at the BAC, we engage in discussions about public art in Boston in order to foster the creation and collection of artworks that reflect the people, ideas, histories, and futures of Boston, which is located on the traditional homeland of the Massachusetts people and the neighboring Wampanoag and Nipmuc peoples. We acknowledge the atrocities committed against Indigenous peoples, all of the communities that have been subsequently harmed, and the ways in which colonialism has created systemic oppression. We recognize the continuing presence of these communities and the Indigenous peoples represented in the city's residents, in addition to those in the diaspora. We also recognize that Boston exists as a result of the forced labor and economic extraction from enslaved African Americans. Now I'll take roll call of commissioners to confirm a quorum. Commissioners, after I state your name, please say here. I'll begin with Vice Chair James Mason.
Here.
Diana Fernandez-Bibeau.
Here.
Brian Hone.
Here.
Nigel Jacob.
Here.
And Abigail Norman.
Here.
Thanks so much, commissioners. On this slide, you'll see today's agenda, which is also posted publicly on the city's website, boston.gov. We'll now review meeting minutes from the June 10th and June 23rd meetings. Commissioners, are there any comments or modifications to those minutes that you'd like to make?
I had an edit for the June 10th meeting minutes for final design for the Columbia Road mural project by artist Nyok Tran View. I'd voted no on that motion, not a yes.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Great, that will be amended, Paul.
Paul?
Sorry, I was mute. Yes, that will be amended. Thank you, Brian.
Great, perfect. Any other adjustments or modifications? Well, hearing none, I'm curious if a commissioner would like to make a motion to accept the June 10th and June 23rd meeting minutes.
I make a motion to accept the June 10th and June 23rd meeting minutes with the correction made by Brian.
Thanks, Abigail. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second.
Thanks, James. After I say your name, commissioners, please say yes if you agree with the motion. Nigel,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Abigail,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. The motion passes. I'll now pass to Karen Goodfellow, who will highlight presentations for public review tonight and give her director's report.
Thank you, John. So we have 6 projects for review tonight, including the Lubin Family Mural, which is a long-term mural that's here for final design review. And this is at Ronan Park in Dorchester by artist Tony PRONZY Perez with Artists for Humanity. And that is being proposed by Natalie Parsons from AFH. We're also going to look at Emergent Memory Coconut Grove Memorial, which is a long-term installation. We're going to look at their signage. And that's going to be presented by us, by Birgit Worster, along with members of the Coconut Grove Memorial Committee. We're going to review Trace, which is a long-term artwork and preliminary design for Copley Square by artist Adam Frank, and that's being proposed by Amber Torres. Additionally, we have 3 projects for the Carter School. These are all Canvas of Culture Initiative projects being proposed by City of Boston and put forward by Street Theory. The first is Carter's Pride, and that is by artist Ernesto Maranje. The second is LIORZH by artist Cyrille Conan. And the third is Beyond the Horizon by artist Massiel Grullon. In terms of our commissions, Wen-Ti Sen has been in his studio adding final touches to the sculpted figures of worker statues project. The 4 pieces will soon be transported to the foundry to begin the casting process. The anticipated installation of these sculptures at various locations in Chinatown is anticipated in late summer 2026. Destiny Palmer recently submitted final design files for the Vine Street BCYF mural, which now features more painterly gestures, more contrast and transparency. The refinements were approved by our team and shared with SpeedPro to begin printing. The final installation is still being scheduled, but will take 2 weeks to install over hopefully this summer, and will coordinate with the community center, Vine Street in Roxbury, for access to the site amid summer programming. And the installation of call and response radiating safety is tentatively scheduled for early August after some delays earlier this spring. The installation will be managed by Matt from Bob's Welding and will require the use of a boom lift on the sidewalk, rerouting pedestrian traffic for the week, and residents will be notified with at least 48 hours in advance. We continue to work through installation plans for Priscilla de Carvalho's proposal at Adams Street BPL. We're working with the Boston Public Library as well as the Urban Forestry Division at Parks. Once all site viability concerns related to the existing trees are resolved, project manager Amber Torres will resume final design preparation with the artists for all 3 artworks in hopes to present to the Art Commission this fall. As Copley Square public art projects develop the preliminary designs coming forward from the artist, today, the public art team continues to work with Parks on outstanding site selection and site preparation needs, such as the creation of a light pole for Adam Frank's projections and site recommendations for additional engraving projects by Jessica Grant, Diana Weissman for the poem by Danielle LIORZH. Conservation continues through the summer, recently completing much needed work for Dorchester Stories, pictured above. We look forward to Josh Crane's presentation later this afternoon, outlining our conservation priorities for FY26, which not only include necessary conservation, but also maintenance for recently cared for artworks. The painting, Webster's reply to Hain, continues to adjust to its new lining, and extreme temperatures in an unstable environment are affecting its post-conservation care. The conservator and team are closely monitoring the situation and are assessing different scopes and timelines for remediation with our property management team and National Park Service. And here you can see conservation timeline.
Karen, and I think Josh can say a few words about the conservation priorities right here.
Sure. All right, let's see what we got here. We got Josiah Quincy. It's a sculpture downtown at the old City Hall. It had been treated many, many years ago, but the coating is pretty much degraded. We're going to remove the old coating and repatinate the sculpture and get it back to its original brown, so it'll match Ben over to his proper right side. We're going to clean the stone up and do a few repairs for loss compensation on some of the granite. Condor Street Urban Wild. We're gonna clean the elements and then repaint all of the writing that's in there. That's over in East Boston. And the Steel Life on Chelsea Creek, we're gonna repaint. We're gonna clean off all the old degraded paint off of the reliefs and do some repairs. I think couple of the panels are sort of loose inside of the framework. Those are those three. What else we got? Winthrop Square Soldiers Memorial, large granite memorial, is currently covered with a fair amount of surface particulates and carbon staining and biological staining. There's a little bit of efflorescence on the surface. There's a little bit of minor cracking and a few little losses on the sculptures. We're going to clean those and do all the repairs necessary, or repoint the granite pedestal. And then there's the bronze elements that go all the way around the park, which have names of all the soldiers who served in the war. And those will be cleaned up, repatinated, and coated. Sam Adams, downtown near Faneuil Hall, City Hall area. And Whitney sculpture, again, it was treated many years ago, and the coating has pretty much degraded on the surface. So we're going to clean off all the old coating, clean the stone up, repatinate the bronze, coat the bronze. Quest Eternal over in Alston at Smith Park. Donald DeLue, this sculpture was, I think, originally down by Prudential. And again, sort of same issues. I think the patination is probably going to be slightly different than the other ones because it was made later, and I think it had more of a sort of a green-brown patina. But again, sort of many of the same issues. And again, also in the lower parts of that sculpture, the pedestal down there gets nailed by skateboarders. So we're going to clean that up and possibly come up with a little better solution for that to stop happening. Again, the Lagone Memorial, again down in North End. Clean up the stone. There's a couple of pieces of marble that are missing on one of the benches over there. That's the little piece that goes in the timekeeping thing there is broken off. We're going to repair that. Sundial, sorry. And again, same thing with the Merchant Marine Memorial. It's right next to it. Same process. Clean up the bronze, clean the stone, repatinate. A couple missing parts that need to go on there. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah. So that's the director's report. I don't know if anyone wanted to ask any questions of Josh while he's here. I'll also note that he and Paul, who works very closely with him, have been trying to identify priorities for next year for the 250th to make sure the artworks that will be really visited the most are in good shape. Okay. Looks like we're good.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen, for that report. And Josh, thank you so much for those conservation updates.
Thank you.
Really
My
excited.
pleasure. Thank you for the
Yeah,
opportunity
no.
to work on these things. It's lovely. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No, we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to the agenda items for review, public testimony, and commission vote today. The instructions indicate how you can participate in today's meeting. If you have technical difficulties, you can ask questions in the chat and a member of staff will help you. When public testimony is requested, please press the raise your hand icon and we'll call on you. Or if you're calling in, press *9 to raise your hand. And now, at the suggestion of some of our attendees, we'll take a few moments to take any questions surrounding public art, should there be any. So I'll give a few seconds for anyone from the public who may have a question about any of the projects today or anything that's on the horizon. Last chance.
I think you just saw a hand go up and down.
Was there anyone in there here that had a question? Well, perhaps not. So we can move on. I pass it to you, James.
Great. And our goal is to make this meeting a good experience for all. Please remember to keep your comments on topic, brief, and respectful of others. You can submit longer written testimony to bac@boston.gov. If you're called on, please state your name, title, program, and organization if relevant.
Thanks so much, James. Our first project for discussion tonight is the Lubin Family Mural, and Amber Torres will introduce the project.
As you may recall, AFH first presented the artist selection process for this mural, I believe it was just last month, and they're back for the commission's final approval of the mural installation next month. In preparation for today's meeting, we worked closely with Natalie Parsons and Keisha Ofiesh from Parks on an MOU that we hope can be a model for the long-term care of any artwork on public property, but are not necessarily a part of the city's collection. I know this is just one of many projects that are on or in AFH's pipeline, so I look forward to continue to working together. So at this point, Natalie, I'll hand it to you to present.
Thanks for the intro, Amber. Can you hear me okay? Awesome. Awesome. So we are reviewing today, the scope is a painted mural in Ronan Park in Dorchester. Our projected installation dates are August and September of this year. And the property owner is the city of Boston and our fine Parks Department. We'll go to the next slide, please. So I'm the project manager for Artists for Humanity, and I'm overseeing the project and proposal that we'll be reviewing today. Along with me is Alex Benkart, our director of research, and Tony Perez, the lead artist and mentor for the mural. Today, I just want to give a quick overview and background information about AFH, give an overview of the project and site location, and then I'll have Tony cover the specifics of our final design, and Alex will wrap things up regarding the community outreach for this project. This slide has our mission. Artists for Humanity, sorry, you can go back one. Artists for Humanity harnesses the power of mentorship and paid professional experience to inspire teens and build their future. We employ teens ages 14 through 18, giving them the opportunity to work on creative projects and develop professional and life skills. We'll go to the next slide. This is just a list of our 7 creative studios that our teens are paid to work in. This proposal focuses on our painting studio through this outdoor mural. Next slide, please. AFH really focuses on supporting teens in the VPS systems, representing Boston's diverse demographics across every neighborhood in the city of Boston and predominantly from at-risk communities. Through these efforts, we employ over 400 teens between our Boston and New York office, and 88% of our teens come from low-income households, and 90% of our teens are teens of color. We have a robust educational support system as part of our program and have been able to secure over $1 million in college scholarships. 100% of our teens graduate from high school, and 100% of our seniors who apply to college for some alternate pathway are accepted and enrolled. Go to the next slide, please. So a little bit about this project. Artists for Humanity was awarded a grant from the Lubin Family Foundation. We were tasked with creating artwork that brings people and nature together, engaging local communities in the process. The scope consists of 2 painted wall murals, 100 feet wide by about 12 feet high, and the subject matter aims to celebrate the important role of team sports in building community, inspiring young athletes, and fostering intergenerational connections. Tony will go into this a little bit more later. I also wanted to note that we've worked alongside MOAC and the Parks Department to ensure our scope aligns with their initiatives and regulations. And our hope, and the Lubin Family Foundation's hope, is that this project will serve as a pilot that can be scaled and bring more public art to Boston through local engagement. Go to the next slide, please. And here's a look at the mural location. The right-hand side, there's a visual for everybody of the wall behind the courts where the mural will be featured. And then this is a look at the map where the red circle is. And next, I would love to introduce Tony Perez, our lead artist for this project. Just want to make sure, is Tony unmuted, or is he able to be unmuted? Amber?
Hi, am I unmuted?
You're good.
Hello. Sorry for the wreck hair. It's been a full studio day. We've been working. Hello, I am Tony Perez. I'm a mentor in the painting studio at Artists for Humanity. Been here for about a decade now. I'm an interdisciplinary artist. I teach in multiple spaces, including mass art. Shout out to James. This mural specifically, was the design of it started last year. Really rooted in community. That was like something that was very, very clear. Definitely didn't want to move from anything too far from athletics, having it be on the basketball court, but we really did want to incorporate some element of nature, our connection to nature, and how that can like really build community with and around Dorchester. I think we could go to the next one. I don't know if I need to like fully break down my stuff. Yeah, so after a very robust process of sketching and ideation, we landed on this one, on this design right here. Really again focused on using foliage and biomatter in general to lay down a groundwork for like a background for the piece in a doodle grid kind of method, to help us like lay out naturally where some of these more visual elements are going to go, as well as really just playing with the poetry and motion element of basketball, and how much of an art form, as well as like a cathartic space basketball could be. Like for me, that was like everything for me. Like I don't know what I would be doing, or what kind of reckless things I would not be doing if I didn't have basketball growing up, especially when it came to keeping myself in the right spaces. As you can see, we broke down the entire color palette in like very specific colors that all kind of harmonize with each other, all in the same brand in Montana. Something that we're used to. We're really excited to really get some more technical spraying and graffiti skills with our teens to help out with bigger and doper murals in the future. Yeah, but also I think the color palette that we chose itself really was influenced by a couple things. We looked at some of the reds that were used over the course of a couple different AFH murals, more specifically the Family Affairs mural in Upham's Corner, and kind of saw how that was like the only color that really was washed out by the sun. Everything else, the green specifically, the oranges, all really lasted really well. And this was a mural that went up in, I think, summer 21, if not maybe summer of 2020. So it's been 4 to 5 years and it's still holding up amazingly. So if we like kind of just like extracted that red color, really leaned into the greens and the oranges while also throwing over a weatherized coat to protect it from some of the more harsher elements. Since this is, I don't know if everybody's been to Ronan Park, but this is like on the bay, right? So like it's going to be hit by wind. It's going to be lashed by the sunlight when it's setting, which is also something that we were really interested in too, having the oranges play with that so it almost glows during that afternoon session. I think would be really cool. But yeah, that's basically where we're at conceptually, design wise, color maintenance and stuff like that. There obviously were a few concerns that we had initially, but we took a good generous amount of steps to make sure that we're prepared for the execution. One was making sure that we understood what the drain holes were for this wall, where they were, how we can make sure that we're using colors that help them kind of blend in and almost like age with the mural without blocking them, making sure that we have a mason come out and fix any cracks or get rid of any inappropriate primer, because when we were looking at a few different parts of that surface, we noticed that there was some extreme bubbling and a lot of peeling going on. But after like a few rounds of diagnostics, it came to the point where it was actually an acrylic and oil layer. So it was mixing and matching, and so water was accumulating between layers, and then they were repelling each other, causing the bubbles and the peel off. But once we get down to the initial facade and then do one solid primer underneath, we should be smooth to avoid any other kind of bubbling in the future. And this would be a long lasting mural. Yeah, I think that's it for me.
Thanks, Tony. This is just an example of that Family Affairs mural that Tony was referencing. We wanted to show you how a sketch can start and what the finished product looks like. We go to the next slide. This is its current condition. So like Tony had mentioned, those greens are still in really great shape. There was no protective coating on this one, so that's why that red has faded into a pink. But overall, this has really stood the test of time and has been a great example for us to use for this mural. So Tony's covered the materials that we'll use, and he got into a little bit of the prep work and maintenance. I'll do a little bit of a deeper dive. So before painting can begin, AFH has hired a mason to restore the wall's original appearance and ensure its durability. That work will include, like Tony mentioned, power washing, some new masonry mortar and paint, and then we'll go in with a primer before we can begin. Having that clean, fresh wall is really going to set us up for success and create a really great structure for the Parks Department. After installation occurs, there will be about 6 to 8 weeks of painting. As far as maintenance, AFH will be responsible for the first year of preservation. Friends at Ronan Park, who we've partnered with throughout this process, and Alex will talk to you about that, has informally agreed to also serve as an additional set of eyes to report issues to parks. We are really confident in the materials we've chosen, given our experience with murals like Family Affairs, and we'll be providing full list of materials to parks after we finish the mural. We don't anticipate much will be needed, but during that 1 year, AFH will conduct 4 site visits and provide parks and the VAC with photo documentation, including after that power washing has occurred to show the new structure. Take pictures once the mural is complete, and then every 6 months that following year. We are also agreeing up to 10% of repairs of the total surface area, and should repairs exceed 10%, AFH will offer to share funding opportunities with parks, including grant applications, sponsorships, and other city funding channels. You can go to the next slide, please, Leader. And then before I pass this off to Alex, this is just the letter of support and intent from the Lubin Foundation outlining the intent of this project. And I'll let Alex discuss the community engagement portion of this project. I don't know. Alex also needs to be
I had
unmuted,
to raise
maybe.
my hand in order to join the presentation. Most Alex, you might have to raise your hand too.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tony. Hi, hi everyone. I'm Alex Bankart, Director of Research and Evaluation at Artists for Humanity. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the community engagement process that led to the mural that Tony just presented. If you wouldn't mind moving forward to the next slide. Thank you. So as Tony and Natalie have both mentioned, a top priority for this project was making sure that the community had a direct role in the design process. We collaborated with Speak for the Trees, whose headquarters is in Fields Corner. They work directly in Ronan Park, as well as the Friends of Ronan Park, a group of volunteers responsible for the stewardship of the park, and Stonewall Sports, an organization that is active throughout Boston, but also hosts a number of events in Ronan Park. Each one of these organizations promoted the project to the hundreds of people on their mailing lists and Facebook groups. As our primary community engagement partner, Speak for the Trees coordinated with other community-based organizations in Fields Corner, such as Viet Aid and Cabral Leadership and Innovation Center, to promote this project and try and solicit more community feedback. Speak for the Trees also conducted an abutters campaign, reaching out to 52 adjacent residences, as well as conducting some on-site canvassing at Ronan Park. And all of these outreach efforts were designed to invite the community to provide their input through a series of 3 surveys and 4 community town hall style input sessions that were spread out over the design process. The surveys were distributed in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese, and had a total of over 100 responses across the 3 of them. The input sessions brought in a total of 18 unique adult participants, as well as a dozen AFH teen artists from the Fields Corner area. 4 of these teen artists also played a central role in the concepting and design phase of the mural itself. And so the product of this community engagement process is the mural design that Tony just presented. I'll get into the questions on the initial survey in a moment, but some key themes that showed up very early are that both team sports and going for a walk were the top 2 reasons that people identified for coming to Ronan Park. So these are activities that are a huge part of what takes place in the area. There was also an early appetite for a natural theme, or themes that celebrated nature. And we very quickly settled on this idea of nurturing community and the parallels between the way team sports can nurture community and the way plants are nurtured as their own sort of community in the park. Both adult and teen participants agreed that team sports was a key form of community building in Ronan Park. And even though the park hosts a diversity of different play, baseball, kickball, everyone agreed that given the location of the mural and the basketball court, that focusing on basketball as a community building activity was the most appropriate. If you can move on to the next slide, please. So here is a list of the questions that were included on the initial community survey. We asked residents of the Fields Corner area about their usage of the park, times of day, activities, their desired improvements, and goals for a public artwork. The results of the survey were also shared with Keisha Ofiesh at the Department of Parks and Recreation. She is the project manager for the renovation of Ronan Park's upper terrace that's also taking place right now. So we've been in close collaboration with them to make sure that our work is helping their work. We use this survey to give us a framework for our first community input sessions and guide the very early stages of the design process. And from this very initial survey, we found out that playing sports and going for a walk were top activities. Celebrating neighborhood identity was very important to residents, and that a mural that was low maintenance was also another key priority. And we really made it a point to incorporate all of those into the final design. Now that the community design process is completed, if you could advance to the next slide, please. We've been keeping the community up to date primarily through the Friends of Ronan Park, who has been our partner for sending out updates on this project. Here is a flyer that the AFH graphics team created for the Friends of Ronan Park Spring Awakening event. This flyer is teasing the mural, and as you can see at the bottom right, there's a QR code that would lead people to the AFH landing page. Once the mural is approved and we have a final design and more details about the installation and activation event, we'll be promoting that similarly through flyers and the Friends of Ronan Park's Facebook group and newsletter. That's it for me in terms of community engagement. I think I'm the last speaker in our group, so thank you all so much for your time. It's a real privilege to present this project to you, and we're very excited to be a part of this.
Thanks so much, Natalie, Tony, Alex, and everyone who spoke. Very much appreciate your presentation. I now open it up to any commissioners who may have a question or comment for you about this project. One question that I did have is just, oh, go ahead, Diana, was that you?
I think if we can go back to the image with the mural, I just want to say to Tony that I really do appreciate the sketchiness of it. It's sort of like a mix up with like graffiti art and like hand sketching that, I don't know, it's like an interesting mix I wouldn't have thought to like put together. And I think it actually works here. I also really appreciated the color palette and I think understanding solar exposure and how this is going to sort of weather over time. So I feel like all those things are really working well together. I do see in your sketch here that you have these sort of vertical breaks with the green there. Is that to align with sort of structural features of the wall or?
Yeah, so there's like a little zigzag. There's like a two lines and then a zigzag in between. That's actually a pole, I believe for a light post. And then the line to the left of that blue vertical line on the left of that is where the two walls meet. And then towards the right of that, there's one more dark green line. That is the pole of the basketball hoop. So those are just honestly indications for me to understand when I was designing it, like what or what not I should put behind that pole and whether we need to make an adjustment on site to make sure that it just like fits better on the wall ultimately.
Great. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the piece. It's kind of an interesting play on different techniques that surprisingly work together.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
I'm curious, if approved, what your installation timeline is.
So I think Natalie can chime in a little bit more on this too. But as far as I'm aware, as soon as we're approved, we're going to reach out to the masons to do that groundwork, get us onto like a level playing field, make sure that there's nothing that we're worried about before we prime that wall. We should ideally start by late July and ideally finish before that first week of September.
Great, thanks, Tony. Any other commissioners with a question or comment?
Yes, with these extreme weathers that we are having currently, are you concerned at all about creating the mural in the heat?
I ain't gonna hold you. I've been in worse weather. I've been on George's Island during like one of the like 120 summers where it was like 100 degrees over and over again. doing murals on crates, on like metal crates. Plus, like not for nothing, this is like part of the business. We have to like teach our teams how to properly prepare for moments like this, right? We'll have an offsite pod that we can sneak into for shade. There's still plenty of shade around there. We'll make sure that we are hydrated and have a cooler so that we can like stay hydrated. Music will be there so we stay active. Like we're never going to put our teams in a position to be in danger. And if there's a moment where the heat gets too hot, then we'll just like switch it to either a nighttime session with some mentors or we'll just like move it to the next day. I think in general, the mural team here has been through both sides of the extreme spectrum. Like this past winter, we had to knock out how big was Quatera, Natalie? Like 20 by 30 times 3. So ridiculous,
Yeah,
huge,
that's
huge in like 20-degree weather. It was not fun, but we got it done. So yeah, I'm not super worried about it. Like this has been like what weather has been like the last like 3 years.
Okay, thank you so much, Tony.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Tony. I'd now like to open it up to any members of the public who may have a question or comment about the project. If a hand is raised, I can't see it. Well, hearing none, I'm curious if any commissioner would like to make a motion to approve the Lubin Family Mural.
I can make a motion to approve final design of the Lubin Family Mural at Ronan Park by Tony Perez.
Thanks, Brian. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks. Please say yes, commissioners, after I say your name, if you agree. Nigel?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Abigail?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Congratulations, the motion passes. Tony, thanks so much for all of your work and design, and I know we're all really excited to see this once it's realized in Ronan Park. So thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you,
We're
everybody.
so excited to hit the ground running. Thank you so much. Be easy.
Thank you.
Great. And now pass to James Mason.
Yes, the next project for discussion is a long-term signage for Emergent Memory, Coconut Grove Memorial. Birgit, I'm passing this off to you.
Thank you, James. The Coconut Grove Memorial Committee was established in 2015 to help Boston recognize the historic fire that occurred at the Coconut Grove nightclub on November 28, 1942. The committee proposed a memorial, currently in fabrication, to honor the memory of the 490 victims, as well as survivors, first responders, and medical professionals of what remains the deadliest disaster in Boston's history. The impact of the fire led to life-saving medical advances in burn treatment, overhauled building codes, and improved fire safety regulations that have saved countless lives in the ensuing years. Located in Statler Park at 243 Stewart Street in the Bay Village, the memorial site is 1 block from the former Coconut Grove nightclub at 17 Piedmont Street. Today, we will share the final design for interpretive signage for the memorial, which will include both signage fabrication information and signage text panels. While the public art team has recently onboarded a new consultant to work with us to finalize signage standards across our future project, the artist team and Coconut Grove Memorial Committee very graciously worked directly with us and the Parks Department on creating signage that shared pertinent information about the artwork, the historical event, and related innovations. The Coconut Grove Memorial Committee and the project team have worked tirelessly over many years to bring this project to fruition, and I'm happy to share the final signage design for Emergent Memory Coconut Grove Memorial on their behalf. Next slide, please. So located in Statler Park in Bay Village, the memorial site plan, including the location of the signage, is shown here. The signage placement preserves the circulation path around the memorial while remaining in proximity and easily accessible to visitors along the park perimeter. Next slide. The signage is made of a stainless steel frame and text panels with a concrete foundation. The project has worked closely with Parks Department Project Manager Priyanka Vankina who has reviewed the design, materials, and fabrication methods. Bluebird Graphic Solutions will fabricate the sign, and the signage foundation will be installed by the site contractor once selected. The interpretive text with corresponding Braille panel includes historical context about the fire, along with medical innovations and safety reforms that were developed in response to the event. The graphics and text also adhere to the city's public art policy requirements for signage, with the inclusion of the artist names, artwork title, year, and materials, who commissioned the artwork, a removable QR code to link to educational materials, and brief interpretive text. I'd like to now pass it back to the commissioners for comment and review. Thank you.
Thanks, Birgit. Do any of the commissioners have any comments or questions?
I should just share,
Can we
I really
just-
appreciate, oh, I just wanted to say, Brian, both the historical information that's provided, but then also the innovations, both medically and in terms of safety procedures. I think our publics will learn a lot in both looking at the memorial and reading the signage that's been created. So I very much appreciate that. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, similar. Can we just go back one slide to have a second with that text? Cool. Yeah, from my perspective, this is exciting. I know oftentimes signage is kind of the least exciting part of a project like this, but it's actually really important in kind of helping the public make sense of what they're looking at when they're encountering these works of art out in the public. So just a kudos to the MOAC team for continually refining the commission signage policy. I know I'm always excited about that, and I'm excited to see this signage program come to life too.
Thanks, Brian. Any other commissioners? Okay, how about opening it up to the general public? Does anyone out there have any comments or questions?
I actually have one follow-up, and maybe Bridget, if you'd mentioned this, sorry, but it looks like maybe there's Braille incorporation onto the reverse of this. Is that right?
That's correct. So you can see in this section here where it comes up from the foundation and kind of folds back. The Braille is on what would be the kind of the edge back panel as a way to read if you run your hand along that top kind of fold of the pan.
Cool. Yeah, I think this is similar to some of the Embrace signage that we kind of arrived at. So a nice format. And I think this looks really nice. Congrats.
There is still open for the general public. I hear nothing. Nothing.
I see a hand up. I'll let.
Okay, great.
Oh, why?
Go ahead, Paul.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm having trouble with my video, but I'm Paul Miller. I'm the president of the Coconut Grove Memorial Committee, and I just wanted to say thank you for listening to the proposal today and the thoughtful comments on it. It has been a real long haul for us, and we're getting down to the end. And I'm very excited to hear from both the commissioners who spoke about it and saying that the educational part is really going to be a big part in the programming going forward. And we're hoping that the signage is just the first step in sparking interest in Boston Public School children and visitors from around the country and around the world that are going to come and visit and see our memorial. And I wanted to thank the commission for their time today. Thank you.
I'd like to just make a comment to you, Paul. As a member of the special committee on the Coconut Grove Memorial, I'm excited to see this. One thing I've been impressed by this year is theatrical and musical and dance performances that take place in and around the public sculptures of the monument. program and the triennial. And it seems to me that a memorial to a nightclub might present some really fun opportunities to present music. I'll just leave that there.
Agreed. Agreed. Thank you.
So I'll wait just one more moment for any further comments. Okay, that was a moment. So does any commissioner wish to make a motion at this time to vote on this final signage?
Sure, James. I move to approve final design for the signage of Emergent Memory Coconut Grove Memorial.
Thanks, John. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Nigel. So now it's time to vote. I call your name, say yay or nay, or yes. John,
Yes.
Diana,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Nigel,
Yes.
Abigail,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. So the vote carries. We look forward to this installation of the signage. And I am now passing this on to John.
Thanks so much, James. Our next project for discussion tonight is Trace, a long-term artwork in Copley Square. This is preliminary design, and Amber Torres will introduce.
Adam Frank is the second artist for the Copley Square Public Art Project to present to the Boston Art Commission. As you remember, local sculptor Tori Fair presented a series of small sculptures called In Full Bloom last month. MOAC and the Parks Department began working with Adam Frank on site selection several months ago to accommodate for subgrade electrical needs prior to the completion of the plaza. Feel free to take tonight as an opportunity to offer feedback that will push the artist conceptually, as many of the technical details will be worked out during final design. Next slide. The renovation and reopening of Copley Square created an opportunity to add public art to the park. Inspired by the impromptu memorial in Copley Square to the victims and survivors of the Boston Marathon bombing and the powerful demonstration of collective strength after violence, the city convened a series of community conversations called the One Boston Resilience Project, which recognized violence across the city and inspired the public art presented here tonight. Through the OBRP process, the city considered ways to recognize the impact of violence and loss in our lives and how we build resilience, not just as individuals, but as a community. It was led by the Public Art Team, Archipelago Strategies Group, with the support of the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute and an advisory committee appointed by the mayor. OBRP consisted of listening sessions in Back Bay, Jamaica Plain, East Boston, and Dorchester, community meetings, activities in multiple languages, and online outreach. The light installations, sculptures, and poetry all celebrate collective strength and resilience, creating space for joy, gathering, contemplation, and remembrance in the heart of our city. Next slide. What we learned was that residents want an artwork to be a welcoming space for communal gathering, to be a space for individual reflection, to incorporate trees and green space, to acknowledge loss, and to evoke emotions of empathy and unity. This project is funded through the Percent for Art Fund in association with the capital renovation of Copley Square Park. These improvements will preserve existing connections, restore the fountain, add ample shade, as well as create great views with the addition of a new structure called the Raised Grove. Park construction is slated for completion later this year, and we're working closely with the Parks Department to install these artworks within the construction timeline. In order to develop the call to artists, MOAC worked with consultant Matthew Hintzman to identify 4 opportunities for public art: light projections, a series of small sculptures, poetry, and ground plane interventions in the pavers and walkways. The goal is for the artworks to seamlessly integrate into the park. OBRP findings were synthesized into 3 themes: community solidarity, empathy, and acknowledgement of loss. Today, the second of 4 Copley Square public art projects is being presented. Adam Frank's light projections. In the coming months, we plan to present Jessica Grant and Diana Weissman's ground plane interventions in pavers and walkways and the late Daniela Gross-George's engraved poem, How Many Kinds of Love. I first presented this project for artist selection in 2023, and after navigating contracting delays in early 2024, this RFP officially opened May of 2024. Artist selection was finalized by the end of July 2024. Contracting took place over the summer, and by September 2024, we had our first official kickoff meeting. Now, before I introduce Adam, I want to take just a moment to talk about our trauma-informed engagement strategy. We invited the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute back to engage victims and survivors of violence citywide and encourage attendance at events and public meetings. And we began working with the Peace Institute's artist-in-residence Ruth K. Henry and our communications team last fall on the project announcement, including language for the webpage, templates for social media, and a carefully curated listserv. We developed our engagement plans up until February 2025 and the sudden passing of commissioned poet Daniela Gross-George's. In March 2025, we decided to postpone planned engagement workshops and events in order to re-strategize and have recently resumed engagement planning for the official project launch and all upcoming public meetings. Adam Frank is a public artist, technologist, and lighting designer. His body of work is an ongoing investigation of light, interactivity, and our perception of nature. Adam uses technology in new ways to celebrate and elevate each individual viewer. He has created more than 20 public artworks for cities across North America. Adam is currently creating large-scale, site-specific permanent public art installations for San Diego, Sacramento, Boston, Dallas, and the new DSM International Airport. I'm delighted at this time to hand it over to Adam to share more about his proposal for Copley Square Park, titled Trace.
Thank you very much, Amber, and thank you everyone on this Zoom call. I am Adam Frank and very honored to present today the preliminary design for the Copley Square Public Art light projections. This is called Trace. And let me start with a quote from Eli Wiesel. He was a writer and professor at Boston University, a Nobel laureate, and a Holocaust survivor. And he said, even in darkness, it is possible to create light. So even in darkness, it is possible to create light. That thought and this idea that planting trees in memory of loved ones is a deeply rooted tradition shared by many cultures and many religions throughout the world and throughout Boston. So with that, we can go to the next slide. So what is Trace? Trace will greet visitors to Copley Square with familiar, universal, living symbols of life made entirely of light. Living symbols of life made of light. We will create projections that appear to illuminate trees that are not actually present. That's fundamentally what we're doing. These implied trees will seem to cast full lifelike shadows on the ground with dappled light. They will shift gently, and their virtual forms will seem to move in the breeze. Next slide, please. So Trace is a new type of projected image. It will create a tangible sense of the presence of absence. So that's a fundamental thing we're going for here. These highly realistic tree forms will be rendered and focused to project life-sized, as if growing from Copley Square. Now, since there is no projection screen, of course, in the square, the light will project directly onto the paved pathway. So the tree forms will seem to shift and move in the breeze and have dappled light effects. And this is achieved optically using optical projectors, not digital. There are many reasons to use optical projectors here. First of all, they are designed to withstand Boston's harsh weather conditions. They are extremely durable and require very little maintenance, especially compared to digital projectors. So This technical approach also offers things. It produces an analog organic image that closely mimics natural tree forms. So when viewers, of course, step into these projections, the dappled light is projected onto them and their shadows merge with the tree forms. Next slide, please. So as the distance between these projections on the ground and the virtual projection plane increases, the focus will gradually soften. So in this image, you'll see a silhouette of a tree, and that represents the focal plane. And we're focusing on that. So if there was a screen there, we would be projecting a full-size tree there. But since there is no screen, the light falls onto the pathway. Now, as the distance increases, the focus softens. And this is a technique that also closely mimics real tree shadows. Now, the projections will begin as the sun sets in Boston. They'll be timed to the sunset. Every minute or so, the projections will fade down completely and then fade back up to a different tree form. And as you can see here, we'll have one pole with two projections. Next slide, please. So these absent trees will be of many varieties. They'll be very familiar to Bostonians. They will be chosen from varieties that grow in the Boston area. But importantly, they will span all ages of growth, from young sapling to fully mature trees. They will all appear as if in springtime, so they're always perpetually in springtime with leaves and buds. Now we have, in this particular case, because we're using optical projectors, we have a total of 14 different tree forms that we can project, 2 at a time, of course. So we intend that the set of all trees will proportionately reflect the ages of Bostonians that have lost their lives due to violence in the year of 2013. Next slide. So this is the location of the pole and the projectors. You can see it's adjacent to the fountain there. It is close to Boylston Street. That red dot represents the location. Next slide. This is a different view of Copley Square from Boylston Street. You can see there the pole holding 2 projectors projecting onto the pathway. The projections will be very visible from many different points inside Copley Square, especially from the newly renovated fountain area. They will also be visible from Boylston Street in several locations down these pathways and from the street and sidewalks. Next slide. This is a quick view of the very preliminary budget and timeline. The timeline total in production, once we have final approval, is 5 months. That includes installation. But this is a piece that will take that time. It's going to take some time to make. Next slide. So why do I think trace is so correct for this site, this important site? Well, trace is a respectful and vibrant tribute to those we have lost to violence in the Boston area. This work honors both victims of homicide and those lost in the marathon bombings equally. Trace celebrates these lives with positivity and inclusivity while acknowledging the gravity of the loss. And this is a very delicate line to draw, as you might imagine, because it's important to acknowledge the deep gravity of this loss, as well as be positive and inclusive. So that's one of the challenges of this piece. This piece is quiet and soothing and familiar, even though we're using light in new ways. The optical movement of the branches and the dappled light will create a meditative atmosphere and a calming space for communal gathering. That's one of the main goals of this artwork. This piece is maximally inclusive. This is a very important point. This installation is meant for people of all ages, of all socioeconomic backgrounds. It does not require special art knowledge. It does not require special education. It does not require literacy to appreciate. This piece is meant to be maximally inclusive, and my work generally is that way. And this is one of the reasons why I make public artwork, of course. But it's fundamental to making public art, I believe. So trace is a new type of projected image, as I've said, and it creates a tangible sense of the presence of absence. This work is seamlessly integrated into Copley Square. It will not interfere with park activities, and it's safe and tamper resistant. And finally, I believe trace is unique. It is refined and is timeless. This is a work of light that will always be relevant and age gracefully. Next slide. So that's the end of my sort of preliminary presentation. I think Amber wants to make a few comments here.
Thank you, Adam. If you could just go to the next slide, Paul. Just wanted to be able to speak to one of the requirements of the preliminary design proposal, which is signage. You've heard a little bit about our pilot program today, and Trace is another artwork similar to Tori's that will be a part of the pilot program, where we'll create high quality temporary signage in the interim as we develop the long-term standards for all of our artwork in our collection. And with that, we'll conclude. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Amber. And thank you, Adam, for your presentation. Commissioners, I open it up to you for any questions or comments you might have for Adam.
I'd just like to say that I'm excited about the innovative medium that will be used for this public art piece.
Thanks, Abigail. Any other commissioners? Adam, one question I did have for you was, I believe you said that the light would sort of fade and rise again every minute. And I'm curious if you've thought about that timing. It seems to me that might be a little bit short, but I'm curious if you've tested this in other areas or in other projects.
Sure. This is a piece that requires scale, so to understand. So I'll be making in the next phase sort of timing experiments. I'm just estimating 1 minute, but that can be a long time, it can be a short time. And it also depends on the scale of the projection itself. So once we get, there'll be a lot of adjustment that happens once we get installed, and that'll be one of them, just the durations. But it will be a soft fade down and up, just to be clear. It won't just come on.
Right. Thanks, Adam. Commissioners, any other questions?
I just want in that timing aspect. I know you mentioned at the setting of the sun. I'm guessing this goes to the rising of the sun, or is that the time frame we're looking at per day?
That's up to the parks. We're planning on it going. It can go all night if that's what is required of the artwork. Some in my public art, my permanent public art, and doing projections and light, people have a time limit that they shut off later in the evening. It depends on what Amber and the city want to do there. We have the ability to time it, of course.
I'm happy to just add context and say that we've kicked off a lot of the conservation conversations pertaining to long-term maintenance, and I think that's definitely a priority for us to consider and will be shared with final design, or at least at accessioning, but you will be informed.
Thanks, Amber. I'd now like to open it up to any members of the public who might have a question or comment.
I have one comment too, just before we keep moving.
Oh, sure, Brian, go ahead.
I will say, Adam, thank you for your presentation. Similar to Abigail's comment, excited about this kind of medium of light for this project. Thinking about the kind of experience of the piece during the day, seems like would be activated primarily at night. In one of the images, I think the projections mounted on that large pole. And just kind of like curious what that would look like. They almost look almost like cameras, or in this moment of kind of um, moment where everyone is kind of hyper vigilant about being monitored. Just kind of curious if you could say a little bit about that the design of the projection pole a little bit, to maybe move it away from something that looks like surveillance and something that looks a little bit more like art.
Well, first of all, we can't project during the day. I wish I could, but it just doesn't. You can't compete with the sun in my line of work. The projections will start at sunset. So just to be clear about that, the pole itself matches all of the poles. It's manufactured by the same people and will look very, very similar. Amber's in charge of this, but it might be slightly taller, but it will blend into all the other light poles. I've sort of exaggerated the size of the projectors themselves. We're in the middle right now of choosing the exact correct projector. It's a very complicated choice. So I can't represent it exactly here, but they are lights, and they look like lights, I would say. Theater lights, maybe, but lights nonetheless, and not like cameras or modern surveillance equipment. But it's a good point. It's a good point. And I think they'll be about around 20 feet up in the air, too, so it won't be in line of sight at all.
Okay, thank you, Adam.
Again, any members of the public who might have a question or comment?
I just want to jump in to Brian's point there. So is there any identifying anything on the pole to let people know what that pole is?
Right, so that gets into signage and plaques and things, and we're still in the process there. Amber can talk about that, I think.
We haven't started the discussion yet, but I think that's a good point as far as the location and the site of the signage. Having it close to the artwork seems like good feedback, so I'll definitely take note of that.
Well, commissioners, I'm curious if any of you would like to make a motion to approve preliminary design of Trace.
I'll make a motion to approve preliminary design of Trace by Adam Frank.
Thanks so much, Abigail. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Brian. After I say your name, please say yes if you agree with the motion, Commissioner. Nigel?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Abigail?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Adam, thank you so much for presenting this work to us. I think it could look really miraculous in Copley Square, and we look forward to seeing you again as we move through this design process. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you to the City of Boston for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Our next project for discussion is LIORZH. And Liza, I'm passing this off to you.
Thank you, Commissioner. My name is Liza Quinones. I'm the mural consultant. Good afternoon, and thank you for having me back. You may recall that the Carter School project came before you last spring for artist selection. And today we are excited to return with the final designs for 3 of the 4 mural sites at the newly constructed Carter School. the exterior courtyard and sensory garden walls, and the interior upper lounge wall. The exterior north facade facing the MBTA station will be presented for final design by next month, hopefully. For this opportunity, we're proud to be collaborating with the city's Public Facilities Department, the architects Perkins and Will, BPS, and the Carter School team on a space specifically designed for students with disabilities and complex learning needs. The new facility includes a therapeutic pool, a rooftop classroom, a sensory garden, each rooted in a design approach that supports varied sensory and communication needs. In alignment with that, we sought artists who could create 2D works that are research informed, responsive to the school community, and attuned to accessibility. Before we dive into the 3 presentations today, I will begin with a brief overview of our exploration of installation methods, which we have yet to define. For the 3 mural sites that are on glazed brick surfaces, MOAC is working diligently to define an installation approach that ensures the durability and long-term preservation of the work. We are hoping to define that method over the next couple of weeks so that each of the artists who are installing on these sites have standard guidance for how to go about the installation that will ensure the long-term durability of the mural. So as you can see here, these are the 3 sites at the school that have a glazed brick texture. The artwork for final design that will be presented today are the courtyard walls and the sensory garden walls. Like I said, the north wall will be reviewed next week for final design. But the 3rd artwork that we're looking at today will be a interior upper lounge piece that will be on drywall. So there are no issues with that. The 3 substrate prep and installation methods that are currently being explored is direct priming. We did a little bit of research with the help of Perkins and Will and the architects team, and have settled on the suggested product called the Zinsser Bonds Max Adhesion Primer. We've also given brick samples to each of the artists to sort of test out some different methodologies for the most optimal adhesive for the material. The second installation method is to place sort of a second skin on each of the walls by installing aluminum panels that the mural would then be painted on. And then the 3rd method is sandblasting with a vendor that I've worked with before called Plymouth Rock Dustless Blasting. In the sample that you'll see here, you'll see the outcome of sandblasting on the brick, in which it really strips down that ceramic glazing almost completely, which would provide maximum adhesion of the primer and the paint there. I do want to note that regardless of these methods, the artist process will remain the same. Each artist, whether it's painting directly onto the brick with the glazing on it, or painting directly on aluminum panels, or painting directly on a sandblasted substrate, their process would still involve requiring a primer prior to a top coat of acrylic paint. Next slide, please. And so for each of these methods, I've laid out some pros and cons for each. Again, looking to continue to explore these pros and cons with staff at the MOAC team. Would absolutely love some guidance or advice from commissioners, if any as well. But with the priming method, the pros are that the Zinsser Bond Primer is designed to bond to difficult surfaces, including glazed block and brick, aluminum, and galvanized steel, among others, according to the manufacturer's spec sheet. Obviously, this will be the most straightforward and fastest methodology. And the only con that we have here is that we just need to do some additional product testing so that we can confirm its efficacy and gain some confidence for its long-term maintenance. The GC will be testing a 4x4 larger surface area on site, and we'll report back in the next couple of weeks. In comparison with the rest of the installation methods and substrate prep methods, the cost for this is relatively low. The next method, aluminum panels, our pros here is that it would provide a durable, smooth, and paintable second skin substrate for the artwork. It could possibly be better for maintenance, and future maintenance could take place off-site if needed. Cons are that it cannot be used for the north wall due to the added weight, wind, and pressure to the site. As you can recall, the north wall is the exterior facade, the largest surface area that faces the MBTA tracks. The garden wall artwork will need to be slightly reduced in size due to wall fixtures that are already installed on the wall. And there are some concerns regarding wall penetration and potential subsequent cracking and water ingress. That's something that we would have to work out with BPS facilities, in terms of our MOU and long-term maintenance. And adding an additional vendor to install the panels will prolong the timeline for the artwork installation. The cost for this is probably medium in comparison to the other methods. And the last method, sandblasting, this would be the most efficient for stripping down the glaze and optimal paint absorption. Cons here is that it would effectively void the brick's product warranty. There are high levels of logistical complexity, and it will have a prolonged timeline, approximately 3 weeks or so, for that work to take place prior to artwork installation, and the cost for this will be relatively high. Next slide, please. And this is the impact to the installation timeline for each of the approaches. PFD anticipates doing their key handoff and having partial substantial completion by the second week of August. Option 1 allows us to start with artwork installations right away after substantial completion. Option 2 will give us about a week to install the panel installations, pushing out artwork installations potentially into September. And then again, sandblasting will have a significant level of complexity with logistics. The vendor will have to take track training to prep the north facade. The site prep, sandblasting, containment will take another 3 weeks or so, pushing these installations well into September and beyond. If commissioners or staff has any questions, any guidance, any advice, happy to hear them. Again, these are all things that are getting worked out within the next couple of weeks, but what we're looking for today is for these decisions to not impede final design approval that the artist will present to us today, as all of this would get worked out with full confidence prior to their installation, the beginning of their installations.
I think I want to chime in a little bit, Liza. I appreciate the different options. And I wonder if you can go back to the locations, because I think the voiding of the warranty with the third option, I think, is a concern for me. I think it would perhaps give you the best adhesion, and I think it would work the best in terms of the artwork, but then I'm concerned about other like impacts to the structure, and specifically that this is a courtyard condition. Waterproofing is something that is really important. So I almost think that I think the impacts to the building program would preclude kind of moving in that direction, given that the warranty for the brick would be voided. And that's just like a risk the city and the facilities team would be taking on. It does, I guess I want to hear your thoughts a little bit about the first method, and whether you've had experience using that that primer to help with the adhesion of the artwork, or if you know of any other sort of mural artists that have used that product before.
So I agree. The third method of the sandblasting is the most extreme, but also the most effective, I would say. And it's the least advantageous in the perspective of PFD and facilities. But I did want to share that it's something that we've been testing and exploring. I have not personally used the Zinsser Bonds Max Adhesion Primer, nor have I painted on glazed brick before. And so that's why we are trying to incorporate some additional due diligence and testing and making sure that that would be an effective method. It would be my preferred method for sure, but we just want to make sure that we can test it and make sure that it's going to be the right choice.
Sorry, Leslie, can you say again which method is your preferred choice?
The first one, the priming.
Thank you.
So I do want to be mindful that we have 3 presentations for final design coming up, and I'm happy to take any additional comments or questions for another minute or so, or offline even. But I did want to show that MOAC staff is working diligently pre-installation to make sure that we get this right, and that the mural's longevity is top of mind and priority for us and for the city's collection.
Thanks so much for that, Liza. To your point, I think if we could move to the first presentation, and perhaps when we come to a vote, we can ask some questions about this again.
Okay, great. So with
Thank
that
you.
being said, I'd like to introduce Cyrille Conan for his final design review of LIORZH. Cyrille, tell me if I pronounced that correctly. Thank you.
It's LIORZH, that's right. Close enough. So, hi everybody. It's nice to meet some of you. I don't think I've ever seen some of these faces. My name is Cyrille Conan. I'm an artist residing here in Boston since 1998. And I'm just going to go ahead and I was born in 1973 and grew up in Queens, New York, to French immigrants. I'm a first-generation American and I'm bilingual. I have dual citizenship and identify both as French and American. This duality is apparent in my artwork. The graphic nature and grit of the work derives from growing up in New York City in the 70s and 80s, and the love of nature and natural forms distilled in me from my Celtic Breton culture have transformed into a minimal, organic, geometrical abstraction that nods to op art, Bauhaus design, Celtic symbolism, Dada, and brutalism, with a heavy reliance on improvisation in the process. I've been developing a vocabulary of various art making, collage, and textures to allow for the paintings to generate as honestly, intuitively as possible. Each layer informs and dictates the final composition until I find a visual balance of form, color, and repetition. Visual balance is achieved through time spent manually altering the surface until the final image reveals itself as done. Everything is handmade. I consider my improvisational process to be a response to the intersection of 2 modern phenomena, the destruction of nature and the growth of technology. Having a regular studio practice keeps me connected to nature and is an act of defiance against our currents. condition. So at our first engagement session this past summer, I had a chance to meet the principal and the faculty of the school, as well as some of the students. In one of the classrooms, the teachers introduced us to their students. One of them started to share an analogy that describes the classroom experience. It was that the school was like a garden, and the students were flowers and plants that were growing in it. They then explained that the teachers were like the marigolds in the garden, helping the plants grow. They were referring to, it was called the marigold effect, and it was coined by Anita Moorjani. I didn't know about this before, so I figured I'd let you know. The marigolds come in a large array of oranges and yellows, and those colors are primarily in the long wavelength hues that were considered to be optimal for the students at the school with extreme eye issues. That analogy of the marigold effect in our exchange left an impression on me and a narrative I found inspiring to make a composition. In an attempt to try something new, I started working with squares, which is something I don't usually do. I'm usually all line work and spheres. So I figured to try something new. And there's this very specific Paul Klee painting that I love called May Picture from 1925. And I started that as like a starting point. It's basically a grid of colored squares that kind of has landscape palette that was kind of where I started. I play with the tones and the hues in each color and making sure they stay in high contrast to each other as I'm painting them. And that's like the first layer. In the second layer, I further pick and choose which squares get striped and which stay solid to add to a visual complexity and vibration. And the palette is indicative of a landscape. In my mind's eye, it's a pixelated image of a full bloom summer garden with marigolds in it. So it's abstracted, but you know where the idea comes from. The final layer consists of a grouping of vertically striped spheres. It's superimposed and emanating from the garden. I see this as the reverberations and energy coming from the nurturing and growth that will be happening at the Carter School on a regular basis. The overlapping of patterns create little moire patterns that add to the visual impact. It can still be developed spontaneously as I'm working on it. As far as the public engagement, I was planning on holding 2 slide presentations that navigates through a bunch of years of my work. The idea is to show the arc of my studio practice from more traditional representational work, such as like still lives and landscapes, to the geometric work that I currently make. I figured this would be good even for art students and stuff, so they could see kind of where how everything happened to evolve from like where I started and into where I am now. And I'll lead this into the breakdown of the evolution with slides of what I'll be painting for the Carter School. This is the final piece that I came up with. As I described, I originally had it, the 2 first layers were all the same. And then there was some talk about maybe switching up some of the colors to like more yellow in it so that it would speak to there's a wall that's perpendicular to the mural site. And I switched it all out to yellow, and then I was back and forth. But I ended up going mostly white with just 3 yellow spheres that I'm playing in there. I feel like it was more high contrast and just worked better. There's the final image with a tree that will be there. Another reason I went back with the white is because I feel like when the tree is in flower, it kind of speaks more to it. So for the installation fabrication, I think I will need a scissor lift in there. 52 years old, being on ladders, not a treat anymore. After inspecting the wall and making sure it's ready to go, I will be using the Extreme Bond Primer. I'll give it light sanding between coats. Once it's dry, I'll measure the wall out to figure out the size of the grid. If that's putting the aluminum changes the size, it doesn't really matter. I'll just have to switch out the ratios. I'll start to lay in the color once it's taped off. 2 layers of color will be applied to each color to ensure an even flat, solid look. I was originally going to use spray paint, but I decided to use exterior acrylic paint applied with rollers. It's really windy these days, and I feel like a lot of the overspray will just give me more work. Also, it'll keep the colors really flat. I feel like the work is super flat, and it'll help with the flatness. The same process I'll be applying for the following layers, and I use a lot of frog tape to generate clean line work. And I'll add a final UV coat to protect the mural and help with the outside situation it's going to be dealing with. I think the colors that I'm using in the painting last pretty well. At my experience, he was speaking about a few projects back about certain colors fading over time. I think these should all work, but I think about it won't need touch-ups or anything for about 3 years. I mean, I could be wrong, but and also this is not going to be spray paint, so I guess different types of paint will act differently. But I've never painted a top coat in the past, and I will on this one, so I think that will help a lot. I'll submit a list of colors used in the process of production to reference and be used accordingly. And I'm here in Boston. I live right down the street. I could walk there. I'd be happy to go down here and touch it up if I need to. But also LIORZH, just so you know, it's a Breton word for garden. My family is from Brittany in France, and there's the culture there is Breton, and they have their own language. My grandparents spoke it. Some of my uncles and aunts speak it. It's like a form of Gaelic, most closely related to Welsh. Just in case you were wondering what that word was.
Thanks, Cyrille.
You're welcome.
Commissioners, does anyone have a question or a comment?
I do have a question and comment today together. Your mural is very beautiful. I like it. I'm curious about the community process. It sounds like you envision that as a slideshow rather than an interactive process. And I'm curious why you chose to do that and who you thought you would present the slideshow to.
I wasn't sure who I was presenting it to. I guess I'm unclear on your question.
So you said that your community process, you will present a slideshow. Am I mistaken?
Okay, no, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, a slideshow about your work.
Yeah, I'm not sure who comes to the community meetings. I assume that it would be, it's open to anybody in the public, and I assumed that maybe art students or people of the community would come and they'd be interested in the what led to me painting this.
And Liza, I'm just curious if this, I'm unfamiliar with just a slideshow without interaction being presented as a form of community process. Just curious about your thoughts about that.
So the community process of the development of the design took place with school visits and meetings with the school staff specifically, as well as their headmaster. And we had also had conversations with the Disability Commission as well. Because a majority of these sessions took place virtually over Zoom, There is some anticipation for a community engagement session post mural installation that we're working on with the school right now that could potentially happen with the school community once the school is officially opened. And there's also some conversations around getting in partnership with Northeastern and bringing the disability community to engage with the artists and their portfolios and their process and their artwork there as well.
Thank you, Liza.
You're welcome.
Any other commissioners?
I just wanted to make
Oh,
note.
go ahead, Diana.
I'm sorry, John, I keep doing this to you.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to make a quick comment and say that I really love this art piece, and I'm actually really fascinated by your treatment of the grid here and the color patterning. So I'm really excited to see this installed.
Thank you. Me too.
I second that, Diana, and also it's juxtaposition with the tree. And as you said, Cyrille, your choice of colors when the tree is in bloom, I think really complement each other. So I look forward to seeing that realized as well. I do know that Karen had some comments that she would like to make about materials. So Karen, did you want to share those?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say, just like to clarify with you all that that we on the team with Liza and BPS and PFD and in consultation with the artists, we're going to continue to explore the pros and cons that Liza suggested. I think we have been leaning generally toward the panels where possible to protect the brick, but we'll continue to explore the bonding also as a possibility. But where possible, we're going to look at the panels. But we might explore other options too, and we'll very happily report back to the commission on those. We wanted to bring these for you because the artists have been ready to share it with you, and we didn't want to keep these on hold because the school is aiming to open very soon. So we want to be thoughtful about the timeline for the school community. And I also just wanted to say that, Abigail, to your questions about community process, Liza's really been coordinating with the artists, an incredible process, really focused, especially with this school, on the school community. And so there's been a lot of conversation, a lot of changes. The artists have been very thoughtful and in a lot of meetings with the school community as well as PFD.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any more thoughts or comments or questions from the commissioners?
If I can, I'd also like to just really quickly note that there's been a lot of intentionality and conversations that have been needed for this project specifically because of the specific needs of the population. And so as we're looking at color choices, as we're looking at design, there's a real need to understand that the students that are engaging and the families that are engaging with this work have varying needs of severe disabilities, including cortical visual impairments, issues with blindness, with mobility and communication. And so lots of conversations and lots of engagement was needed in order for us to ensure that the artwork was communicating to the community in the right way.
Liza, thanks for highlighting that.
You're welcome.
We can open up to the general public for any comments or questions. Okay, I'm moving along. So I will ask if there are any commissioners who wish to make a motion.
James, I so appreciate that. I do think we should make a motion. I'm just curious for Karen and MOAC staff, because normally with a final design, we have both the design the artist has created, but also its installation plan.
Yep.
in this instance and iteration, and I open this up to commissioners too, can we approve final design and allow MOAC staff to sort of decide on installation plan based on all the due diligence and research that you're doing? Or would you, Karen, or other commissioners prefer to do it differently?
I'd be comfortable with that, given the fact that, we did present 3, viable options. I think the only one, there's another mural that's going to come. I think we'll continue to explore different options for that. I think we will go with one of these 3. And as long as I think you can accept that, if we went in a totally different direction, we could bring that back for a vote if you like. But if you can allow us the opportunity to continue to work with BPS and PFD to make that decision based and implement these designs with one of them, I think we'd be comfortable moving forward.
Diana, I'm curious if you had any thoughts about that, given your concern for the third option.
I trust that my colleagues at PFD can help inform that. I just would say that that seems to be the most of the options you shared. I think the one that, for both a cost perspective standpoint, and then I think impacts to the broader material envelope, would perhaps not be the direction we go in. And I think, Karen, to your point, the aluminum panels are a system you guys have used before and could work well in that, if the glazing proves to not adhere. So I feel comfortable with those 2. I just want to make sure that we note the concerns around the waterproofing with the third option.
Thanks, Diana, I appreciate that. Let me see if I can, let's see. I'd like to make a motion to approve final design of Cyrille Conan's artwork at the William Carter School with and also allowing MOAC staff to continue developing installation procedures to the best of their ability and working with other departments and allowing them to make the best choice they can as they continue. That's a long motion.
Yes, and I'm glad you said all of that, John.
Let's see. Approve final design of Cyrille Conan's artwork at the William E. Carter School and allowing MOAC staff to approve installation plans based on further study and research. How's that?
That's good. I would suggest adding in collaboration with BPS and PFD.
Paul, in collaboration with BPS and BFD. That's my motion.
And I'm sure all of that is written down into the record. Do we have someone who wishes to make a second on that?
I second that emotion.
Thank you, Abigail. So I guess it is time for us to vote on that most elaborate movement. So John.
Yes.
Diana.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
Nigel.
Yes.
Abigail.
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. So we're glad to get this moving along, and we really are anticipating what the final installation will be. So it's a mystery, but we hope that to be resolved really soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Very excited.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Cyrille. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Abigail, I know you have a hard stop at 6:30. I'd like to move forward and get through as much as we can. So when you need to log off, I do believe we still have a quorum. So much appreciated for your time here and for you commissioners continuing to try and get through these projects. Our next project for discussion is Beyond the Horizon. And Liza, I pass this to you.
Thank you very much. I think I've done a pretty extensive introduction for the Carter School project as a whole, and so I'd love to pass it over to Massiel Grullon for her presentation.
Hello, hi. I just want to say thank you so much to the city for having me here. Yeah, just want to present my presentation. So My name is Massiel Grullon. I am a muralist based in Boston, and I am doing a mural for the Carter School, which actually happens to be right across the street from my childhood home. So I grew up in the South End, and I'm just really happy that I was picked by the city to do this project. So yeah, let's move on to the next slide. So the title of the mural, it's called Beyond the Horizon, and it is for the Carter School. And next slide. And again, my name is Massiel Grullon, and I go by Mas. I'm a Dominican American muralist and designer born and based in Boston. My artistic style blends elements of the past with a contemporary touch that resonates with the future, inspired by super graphic aesthetics with mid-century and space age inspired rhythm and flow. I transform public and architectural spaces into vibrant, intentional environments through bold design and color. Over 50 years of experience in large-scale murals. I went to Montserrat College of Art in 2014. I'm also a former artist mentor at Artists for Humanity, leading teens mural projects, and I became a full-time muralist in 2023 and now serve as the 2025 TD Garden House Artist. On to the next slide. Thank you. So Beyond the Horizon, it will be installed in a high traffic hallway. The mural is designed to guide movement through the space using soft curves, layers, forms, and smooth colors transitions. Its composition creates a calming yet engaging environment, offering a visual rhythm that supports sensory regulation and encourages a sense of flow as students, staff, and visitors move through the corridor. The theme and subject is accessibility, sensory balance, rhythm, connection, movement, imagination. The shapes are inspired by rhythm and the feeling of forward motion. The color palettes is sensory friendly and visually soothing with moments of contrast to maintain engagement. So next slide. So for the public engagement, to engage the Carter Schools community, I plan to host an artist talk on site to share the inspiration process and sensory focused design of Beyond the Horizon. Guests will receive a small goodie bag that includes a coloring book style print of the mural and a pin or sticker, making the work interactive and accessible for all ages and abilities. This is all still up in the air, so I may not use a pin since that has it's kind of a sharp object and I don't want, students to get hurt. So these are just pop-up ideas. The engagement will serve as a meaningful way to connect with students, staff, and families and celebrate the power of inclusive public art. Next slide, please. So this is the design that I wanted to present to you. A scaled rendering of the mural in the hallway, and I want to possibly have a plaque next to the mural or have my name signed date on the corner of the mural. Again, just ideas. But again, this is, a what I initially wanted to have for the Carter School. And as you can see, the colors, the warm sensory driven palette of reds, yellow, and blues is intentionally chosen to create a welcoming and calming environment while also stimulating engagement and inspiration. Next slide, please. So fabrication plan, I plan to use Benjamin Moore interior paint only. And I will also add a finish interior clear coat to protect, like a protective sealant for longevity. This will be hand painted as well with brushes, rollers, tape, and spray paint as well. Next slide, please. So maintenance recommendations, an annual light cleaning with microfiber and non-abrasive soap. Reseal every 3 to 5 years, depending on where. It all really depends. avoid harsh cleaners or scrubbing tools to maintain integrity. So yeah, it just really depends. Usually I use the very highest quality paint and primer and sealant. So just for longevity. So I honestly don't have any issues with maintenance, but if it does need any maintenance, will absolutely do it, no problem. Next slide, please. So installation plan for the timeline, this process would take about 2 to 3 weeks tops. Luckily, this is indoor, so I don't have to worry about weather. Wall prep, cleaning and priming the surface before painting. I'll be the lead installer, and I will possibly have one assistant to be helping me with this project. And equipment needed, traffic cones for hallway safety, electrical outlet access for computer and projector, and 1 to 2 ladders. So yeah, no scissor lift involved, no giant equipment. So this is a very easy project for me. Technology, sorry, go back. Sorry, thank you. Yeah, use of projector to transfer mural design and site corridor. Artists will manage all logistic communications and safety measures. And yeah, next slide. And that is all. So please let me know if you have any questions, concerns about this project.
Thanks so much. Really beautiful design. I open it up to any commissioners for questions or comments.
I just want to make a comment. I really love the design. I love the colors too and the gradient. I was like seeing glasses in the artwork, but I'm sure there's like all these other interpretations of it. But this is really exciting to see it come together, and also so wonderful that you grew up in the neighborhood and get to contribute to the city in this way.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Massiel, I was curious because I know that Liza mentioned this regarding Cyrille's project as well. Just to share that you've had conversations with the head of schools and other staff and some students there, and that they have sort of seen your design and the color palette that you use, and that they're excited about this too. I just want to confirm that.
Yes, yeah, they definitely are. Thank you.
Perfect. I now open it up to any members of the public for a comment or if they'd like to ask a question. Well, with that, commissioners, would any of you like to make a motion to approve this project?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Beyond the Horizon by Massiel Grullon.
Thanks, Abigail. Do I have a second?
I'll make a second.
Thanks, James. After I say your name, please say yes if you agree with the motion. Nigel?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Abigail?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Massiel, congratulations. It's really a beautiful design, and I know we all look forward to seeing it installed.
Thank you so much. I really want to thank the city for this. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
And I know we are at time, Abigail, and I know you have to leave. We have one last project that, given the timeline for these projects, I would really love us to pursue. So with your forgiveness, commissioners, if we could move on to the last project for tonight, that would be great.
Very well then. Our next and last project for discussion this evening is Carter's Pride, a long-term mural as part of the Canvas of Culture initiative, and I am passing this off to Liza.
Thank you, James. This is one of the sites that is having the considerations of the installation substrate methods. And I will pass it over to Ernesto Maranje to introduce Carter's Pride at the Sensory Garden Wall. Thank you.
Hello. Hello, everyone. I'm Ernesto Maranje. It's a pleasure. Thank you. Um, uh, I'm sorry, Liza. Can you help me out here? I don't know how to start this.
Yes, absolutely. We can move on to the next slide, please.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Ernesto, and I'm so sorry. I don't know where to go with this. Do I go straight to? Do I say a little bit about myself, or do I go straight to
Yeah, you can
the
do a little bit
presentation?
of an introduction of yourself.
I paint murals, nature related, and can you go to the next slide, please? So this is the mural design. Carter's Pride is what we wanted to call it. It's um, the primary elements are the lion, both lions, and secondary elements would be the 6 birds from 6 different continents. There'll be tactile elements, like small gravel and a textured silicone. That the gravel will represent the rock. It'll be pretty much on the center of the painting, and we'll have textured silicone that'll represent some of the leaves on it, also around the center of the painting. The themes: family, community. We try to represent a different country from the various students' locations, and
So this is a more
yeah,
close-up
thank you.
view of the artwork as it lives on the elevation of the Sensory Garden mural in the 3rd level of the Carter School. And the highlighted elements here just show close-ups of the sections of the mural where there are going to also be some tactile and sensory elements for the students. As well as some call outs of the different continents and the types of birds that are represented here, connecting with all of the different places that the Carter School students come from. If you're not familiar with the Carter School, this is a school that families from all over the world come to because of the kind of care that they can get from Boston Medical Center, and the level of care and the education that is needed for the specific population. And so their student body is truly diverse, and the birds here represent the different places that those students come from. Next slide, please.
This is basically a demonstration of what a mock-up to a finished painting will look like. On the left, it's the more digital, not the more digital, but the digital mock-up. It's a composite of photos, and I put them together in such a way to create the composition and the main key elements. And then as I'm painting, there's a lot more improvisation and just get spontaneity on the piece. So it starts to come alive as the layers go on. So I keep the same composition and the same design, but there's a lot more going on in the final. So this is just to kind of explain what a finished piece would be versus the mock-up. And here again, we'll be touching on description, the themes, and the sensory elements. Basically, the description is the male and the female line as the center points, which is also the school's mascot, hence the Carter's Pride. Secondary elements would be the 6 birds representing the student body. in the themes, we're touching on community. A bird was selected from each continent except Antarctica to represent the diverse student body. The colors, long wavelength hues were used on key elements along the border of the birds to kind of separate the birds and the main elements from the background, which the background will be a lot looser and softer. As far as the tactile elements, they'll be mainly focused on the center of the mural. The pea gravel seems really interesting to place over the rock-like elements, just because it'll give it in my opinion, this interesting three-dimensional feel to it. So it'll catch light reflecting off that, so it'll always focus back into the center. Also, the textured silicone would be around the center, always highlighting the main characters, and they'll be able to be touched. They'll be on the bottom of the wall, so to make sure that everyone could reach them. So it'll be a silicone piece that UV resistant, that'll be cut and placed over a wooden cutout of the same silhouette, and then I'll adhere the wood to the surface being painted. And then there's a suggestion of auditory elements with the bird calls, lion roars, and wind sound to give students an immersive experience. Next slide, please. And then this will be the public engagement, the engagement part of the mural. So what we were thinking was, for this first session, it's basically an information sheet and pictures and key details of the animals, and that we can explain and read along, and at the same time there's specific bird calls that we can have played, and so as we're talking about the animal, the bird, we can hear the call. Is there a next? So then the second session of the engagement will be more of a tactile exploration. And with this, we'll put together bags of, so like you can see here, a lion figurine represents a lion, a leaf for the more natural elements, the small rocks to get the feeling of the small rocks, of the gravel, and the feather for the birds. And we're hoping to with all these senses, the auditory, the textile, we can have like a nice immersive or nice experience. As far as the materials, so if we're gonna paint on the glazed brick, we found a nice Sherwin-Williams primer that will give the glass-like surface a really sealed surface, so that I can paint over it. I'll be using the Behr paint, exterior Behr paint, which is excellent paint, and then also spray paint. I like to use gold. This will all be sealed with the Master Clear, and then I have explanations of like the small gravel and the textured silicone rubber. The gravel will be mixed into the paint, and so it'll have a lot of the paint look, the paint feel. And the silicone, the rubber piece will be UV resistant, textured, and supplied by CS Hide. Next. So for the maintenance plan, like I said, the protective varnish coat will be applied to protect from the elements. Modern Masters Supreme. I've used it before. Excellent clear coat. So it'll be applied over everything, including the tactile elements to give it that extra protection. And there's information here from the website. Yeah, once it has its coating, there really is minimum maintenance. Just light wash. It can be rubbed with a damp cloth, anything that gets any type of thing on it. Next slide, please. Would you like me to go over the timeline or?
I think we could move on.
Ernesto, thank you so much for that presentation and that really, really impressive mural design you've shared with us. I now open it up to any commissioners for questions or comments.
Thank you.
My only question is, since there's some tactile elements to this, it is meant to be touched, and that has been kind of thought of in terms of how long it can last without any of the touching over years wearing it out, correct?
I'm sorry, I don't know how to answer this. It will last, but definitely not forever. But it will. I'm really sorry. My public speaking is horrible. I promise my painting is a lot better. Yeah, I don't have a real answer. I'm sorry.
That's fine. We don't have to worry about the public speaking. We all have these issues once in a while. But that was my question.
Liza, could perhaps you speak to this question?
Sorry, are you asking me, Karen? You're breaking up.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was asking, would you be willing to speak to the question about the sort of added materials and expectations about longevity of them?
Sure. I think it's hard to say about longevity. I mean, the sensory mural was meant to really allow the students in this population to engage with the artwork. So it really depends on how much they're engaging with it. And I do think that we'll have to think a little bit more deeply about what our priorities are, whether it's allowing the school and the school community to engage with it as much as possible. And if the priority is for the city to have a piece that will be considered that won't need any maintenance in the next 5 years or so, then perhaps the tactile elements are things that we leave out. I will say that from the school's perspective, they were really excited about the sensory capabilities of the mural. And so I think that we would just have to, as staff, think about how we want to replace some of those elements or how easy it would be to replace over time.
Thanks, Liza. Just to answer the question from the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture perspective, I think, as Liza stated, this being a priority for the students to be able to experience the artwork. I think we'd love to be able to pursue this, but perhaps we can work with Ernesto and Liza to explore ways that even if they had to be removed, that there would be a plan for keeping the artwork intact, even if it weren't exactly the same. Like if a piece of the rubber came off, would we know how to repair it in a way that would still come together aesthetically, even if we weren't able to maintain the material.
Thanks, Karen and Liza, for that. Any other commissioner questions or comments? I'd now like to open it up to any members of the public who might have a question or comment. Given what Karen shared about the tactile element, I'm curious if any commissioner would like to make a motion to approve final design of Ernesto Maranje's mural.
Let's see, maybe making a motion to approve Carter's Pride by artist Ernesto Maranje, with the understanding that the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture and the artists team will work together to finalize tactile elements.
I think as well as the surface on this one, similar to Cyrille's.
And surface considerations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
After I say your name, commissioners, please say yes if you agree with the motion. Nigel?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. The motion passes. Ernesto, congratulations. It's a beautiful mural design, and best of luck in realizing it at the Carter School.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Ernesto.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
So our final agenda item is adjournment. Would any commissioner like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, you beat James. Do I have a second?
Everyone waits for me, but I will second that.
Perfect. Say yes, Commissioner, if you agree with the motion. Nigel?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Diana?
Yes.
James?
Oh, yes.
And I vote yes, too. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone. Thank you so much for giving us some additional time to get these projects through, and I will see you next month.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.